All right. So before we get up and move, I want to give you a brief overview, the need to know details about what is the windlass mechanism, so you have a better conceptual understanding of what we're trying to accomplish today. So it's really not rocket science. It sounds very fancy, but all that windlass mechanism means is it's when you lift your big toe, the response that should take place in your foot and through your entire leg. And so just to give you some landmarks we're going to pay attention to, your big toe here and this long bone of your foot here on the inside edge, this is the metatarsal bone. So the joint here is your big toe joint. And by lifting this big toe up, that is essentially the windlass mechanism. The big toe lifts and a very specific response should go through the foot. And that response is of the lifting of the arch and the supination of the foot, which should have consequences all the way up into your hip. And for a lot of people, what I find is when the windlass mechanism isn't functioning, meaning when you lift your big toe, the wrong things happen or nothing happens, then we have a problem, and that can lead all the way up into a hip not moving very well, having some SI joint problems, having some back grumpiness, blah, blah, blah. Lots of things can go awry when your big toe lifts, and the wrong thing happens when your big toe comes up off the ground. So the windlass actually is a term from, I think it originated in like a shipping yard, is what I heard from Gary Ward when he was describing it, is that in shipping yards, they have these pulley systems where there's like a loop and then there's cables that go over the loop and you can pull, and it helps you to lift something up. And every time you have that loop, I forget what's the word for it, whatever it is, you have a circle and then the cable goes around the circle and you have a pulley. And every time you have one of those, it reduces the weight of the thing you're lifting by 25%. And so if you have two of those, then it reduces the weight by another 25%, and et cetera, et cetera. Every time you add in one of those loops and pulleys, then it reduces the weight of the thing by 25%. So in the foot, we have two of those mechanisms happening. So the first one is, you see these little bones here under the foot, these little bumpy things under the big toe ball. Those are called sesamoid bones, and there's a muscle that runs underneath those, and that's one of the pulley systems there. And then that same muscle, if you imagine it going along the inside of the foot, and then the second pulley system is like right under, there's this this ledge right here, this sticky outy thing. That's the second kind of pulley system. And so that muscle that runs under those two little pulleys, that is essentially your windlass in the foot. So when it's functioning well, it kind of makes your body feel like it's 75% lighter for your foot to push off. So it really has a lot to do with efficiency of movement. And yeah, it just gives you a little spring in your step. And if you have someone that you can't supinate your feet very well and your arches just stay low and they don't move, this is really important to have functional. So fun factoid about the windlass mechanism.